And now, Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning present Clymer-Sherman Softball play-by-play coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream at channel989.org. This broadcast is presented by Troyer's Greenhouse in Panama, by Whiteland Surveying, Tina Dills, ERA Team VP Licensed Real Estate Agent, Caflisch Pallet and Wood Supply, Triple E Manufacturing, Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning, by Sherman Livestock, and Steve Daniels Electric and Corry. And now let's head to the field for all of the action. And now, Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning present Clymer-Sherman Softball play-by-play coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream at channel989.org. This broadcast is presented by Troyer's Greenhouse in Panama, by Whiteland Surveying, Tina Dills, ERA Team VP Licensed Real Estate Agent, Caflisch Pallet and Wood Supply, Triple E Manufacturing, Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning, by Sherman Livestock, and Steve Daniels Electric and Corry. And now let's head to the field for all of the action.
And welcome into the 98.9 Sports Stream. A little late getting started here, coming straight from State Line Speedway and the Pit Road Show. But we're here and we're ready to rock and roll for today's game between Clymer-Sherman and Maple Grove, Panama. In the bottom of the first right now. And give me just one moment to finish getting up to speed. And we will be ready to go. Maple Grove, Panama, 3 up, 3 down in the first for the Clymer-Sherman. Second batter here in the bottom of the first, 1 out and a 2-1 count. And this is Alex Hallstrom at the plate, junior shortstop. And the count to her is now 2-2. Here's the pitch, outside for ball 3. And the count is full. Hallstrom awaits the pitch from Bodemer. There it is. She swings over the first baseman's head in. Just going to go foul there as the ball bounced right on the line. And nothing on that one. We'll line it up and do it again. Ellie Bodemer, the pitcher for Clymer-Sherman in this game. Got rid of the first batter quickly. And now faces a full count here with Hallstrom. Bodemer's pitch. Hallstrom swings, hit the third. The ball is bobbled there, and Hallstrom's going to beat the throw to first. And Maple Grove, Panama will have a runner aboard. Error on the third baseman. Next up will be Lydia Dar. Dar, senior first baseman. And tries to put one down there, but unable to do so. That'll be fouled off for strike 1. Here's the pitch from, and she tries to lay down the bunt right back to the pitcher. Play to first, and there's 2 away. That makes the inning. That's the third out. So fly out back to the pitcher on the attempted bunt. Puts away the Maple Grove side of the first. 0-0 the score here on the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, they offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at flicksheatingplumbingandac.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support of Wolves softball coverage.
Support for coverage on the Channel 98.9 Lictus Oil and Propane Sports Stream is provided by Sherman Livestock at 4150 Sherman Mayville Road. For more information, call 716-499-1362 and on Facebook.
Coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream is provided in part by Whiteland Surveying in Clymer, providing land surveys for Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties in New York and Erie, Warren, and Crawford counties in Pennsylvania. Phone 716-499-8410. Find them online at mwhitepls.com. The Channel 98.9 Sports Stream thanks Whiteland Surveying for their support.
Corry's only locally operated radio station is Channel 98.9. With your Erie weather, your favorite personalities.
Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday.
You see today local news, entertainment, and information around the clock. And Corry's modern rock. Channel 98.9, your one radio station.
Top of the second here in Maple Grove as Maple Grove, Panama's Jess Lyons pitching. And she throws a strike to on the first pitch to the number 4 hitter. And that is Ellie Bodemer, the pitcher. Bodemer back in the box. Here's the pitch. She swings on it, fouls it off over my head. And the count's 0-2. So Panama playing with Maple Grove this season. Clymer and Sherman playing together again for another consecutive year. Jess Lyons pitching for Maple Grove today is a Panama sophomore. That pitch outside for ball 1. And Bodemer steps back into the box. The 1-2 to Bodemer. Lyons set now. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed, and Bodemer goes down swinging for the first out of the inning. So as I mentioned, we got a little bit of a late start. 1, 2, 3 innings for both teams in the first. And due up now, Kelsey Wagner. Wagner in the box here with 1 away in the second. 0-0 ball game. Here's the pitch. Called strike on the outside edge. Wagner awaits the 0-1. Lyons pitch on the way. Inside for ball 1. Beautiful day for softball here in Bemis Point Elementary's back field, right behind the elementary school next to the golf course. Here's the pitch from Lyons. Swung on by Bodemer, back to Lyons. Lyons fields it cleanly, gets it to first in time, and Wagner is retired. I said Bodemer, I meant Wagner. So G1 there, second out of the inning, and that'll bring up Pratt. So Alyssa Pratt, the sophomore outfielder, hitting in the 6 hole today to face Lyons now with 2 outs here in the second. First pitch to her, outside for ball 1. Lyons now ready. The 1-0. Swung on and missed. 1-1 the count now. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Pratt trying to get some offense going for the Wolves. Lyons checks her catcher. Here's the pitch. Outside for the ball. And the count goes to 2-1. Pitcher's duel so far in this one. We'll see if Pratt can break it open. Here's the pitch. Pratt swings and fouls it back into the fence. And the count goes to 2-2 with 2 outs here in the second. Lyons looking to get out of trouble here for Maple Grove. There's the pitch. Outside edge. Caught Pratt looking. And that will end the side for the Wolves. 0-0 through 1.5 here in Maple Grove. This is the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, they offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at flicksheatingplumbingandac.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game, so I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in New York at highschoolofficials.com.
Studio B, indie alternative music, SoCal style with me, Dave W. Phillips. New music and artists from around the world. Sundays at 7 p.m., right after the old folks have gone to bed. Right here on Channel 98.9.
It's party time. Woohoo!
Shh, keep it a secret.
Clymer-Sherman.
And welcome back into Wolves baseball. First pitch of this second inning is a ball to Jessica Lyons. Second pitch, she gets a piece back to the shortstop. The throw fielded highly at first, but the out still made there. So the ground out is the first out of the inning. Margaret Ryan, a freshman pitcher, first baseman, is up next for the Dragons. Here's the first pitch to her. And Bodemer's pitch is called a ball. 1-0 with one out here in the bottom of the second. Score 0-0. Bodemer checks her wristband. Now she's ready to go. Here's the pitch. Swung on right towards the first baseman, and he eats her up. Gets away from her. She'll field the ball, but not in time as the runner is aboard. So reach by error there. That brings up Megan McGee. So McGee now stepping in with a runner on first and one out here in the second. That one's fouled back. And the count is 0-1. Bodemer taking her time getting settled in. She's ready now, and the 0-1 pitch. High in there for ball one. McGee trying to advance Ryan, who reached by error. With one out here in the bottom of the second. Bodemer ready for the 1-1 pitch. Here it comes. Swung on and missed by McGee. And it's 1-2. McGee now ready to go back in the box. Bodemer checks her wristband. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Outside, and the ball gets away from the catcher. The runner takes off for second. No play there. She's in safely. Ryan stealing second on the play. Count goes to 2-2 for McGee. So Megan McGee stepping back in now with a 2-2 count. A runner in scoring position and one out here in the bottom of the second. Bodemer trying to work her way out of this jam. Here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled off to the right side. Bodemer in the first two innings here has been a very direct and kind of working pretty quickly other than checking her wristband. She checks it once again. Here's the 2-2. That pitch is high for ball three. And they thought that Ryan may take off for third there, but she did not. Bodemer, the full count, payoff pitch. Swung on and popped up to right field. Play made there, and that is going to be a fly out for McGee. So 2 away now in the second. And Cassie Lyons will be up to the plate for the Dragons. Another Panama student. She's a senior at Panama. Cassie Lyons coming up to face Bodemer with a runner in scoring position. First pitch to her. Called strike at the top of the zone. Nice pitch by Bodemer there. The 0-1. Called strike. So it's an 0-2 count now with 2 outs and a runner on second. Cassie Lyons trying to get some offense going for the Dragons. The 0-2 from Bodemer. Outside for ball 1. A little bit of wind moving from behind me, so from behind the plate towards third base. Bodemer's pitch. Swung on by Lyons and fouled off to the right side. Lyons a 7-hole hitter for the Dragons. And the Panama senior in a spot here down 1-2 in the count with 2 outs. Bodemer trying to finish the inning for the Wolves. Checks her wristband and she's ready to go. Here comes the 1-2. That pitch is low for ball 2. Lyons back in the box now. Here's the pitch. She swings on it. Gonna get it just over the shortstop's head. It'll fall in for a base hit. And that'll put runners on the corners for the Dragons. A base knock there for Cassie Lyons. And that brings up Brianna Cornell, the junior. Cornell has runners on the corners and 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. Bodemer's pitch. Called strike 1. Here's the pitch to Cornell. Swung on and missed. And it's 0-2. 1 pitch away from getting out of this jam is Bodemer. Runners on second and third, 2 outs. Bodemer checks her wristband. She's ready to deliver. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Low for ball 1. Brianna Cornell, the junior, trying to drive home one of these runs for the Dragons. Bodemer trying to shut it down. There's the pitch. Swung on and fouled off. Good pitch, but called a ball. And the count goes to 2-2 to Cornell. Ryan on third. Cassie Lyons on second. And Cornell at the plate. But a 2-2 count with 2 outs. And here's the pitch from Bodemer. Swung on, back towards the shortstop. A slow roller. They'll fire over to first in time to retire the side. Nice defense behind Bodemer to get the Wolves out of the inning. No damage done. And we'll take a quick word from our sponsor here on the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, they offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at flicksheatingplumbingandac.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support.
Clymer-Sherman softball coverage is brought to you in part by Troyer's Greenhouse. Now open for the season, Monday through Saturday. Troyer's Greenhouse is located at 1669 Weeks Road, just 2 miles west of Panama. Go Wolves from Troyer's Greenhouse.
School sports are played by humans, coached by humans, and officiated by humans. So the next time you're sitting in the stands at a school athletic event, please remember this and maintain your humanity, especially when it comes to judging and critiquing athletes, coaches, and officials. Please show your fellow humans some respect. They'll appreciate your empathy.
This message presented by NISFA and the New York State Athletic Administrators Association.
Clymer-Sherman softball coverage is brought to you in part by Triple E Manufacturing and Design. Triple E Manufacturing and Design offers equine products, promotional items, embroidery, and printing services. Located at 117 Osborne Street in Sherman and at tripleemfg.com. Phone 800-295-4282. The Channel 98.9 Sports Stream thanks Triple E Manufacturing and Design for their support.
And welcome back in here, top of the third. First pitch there, low for a ball, and that's a pitch coming into Kaylee Pinzock, the sophomore. She'll lead off from the 7th spot here in the top of the third. 0-0 baseball game between Maple Grove, Panama, and Clymer-Sherman. The pitch from Lions, the outside for a ball. And now it's 2-0 to Pinzock. So Jess Lyons, the Panama product, the sophomore, so far 2 innings very quickly. She's behind 2-0 to Pinzock, though, and gets the corner there for strike one. So after a threat from Maple Grove, Panama in the top of the third, there's a bunt attempt from Pinzock. That's going to be a strike. So 2-2 now the count. As I mentioned, Maple Grove, Panama, runners in scoring position in the top of the third, unable to bring them home, so this score remains 0-0. And now we are in the bottom of the third, a 2-2 count with no outs. Lions pitch, swung on and fouled off by Pinzock. Count remains 2-2. It's an important game between two teams that are trying to make themselves cemented among the top of the standings in the CCAA Division II. Pinzock now ready. Lions getting what she wants for a pitch from her catcher. Here's the 2-2. Swung on and missed, and she'll set down Pinzock with that. One out now for the Wolves here, and that'll bring up Bailey White. White steps in. Lyons steps up. She's ready to pitch. First pitch to White, fouled off to the right side. On deck for the Wolves, Addie Wiggers, the 8th grader. But first, it's Bailey White. She's behind 0-1 with 1 out here in the third. Here's the pitch. Outside for ball 1. And the count goes to 1-1. One out. Here's the pitch from Lions. Bunt showed. I think she got that one pulled back. There's a strike. 1-2 now the count to Bailey White. White ready to go. Lions pitch. Swung on and missed. 2 straight strikeouts from Lions. And that'll bring up the 9-hole hitter, Wiggers. So Addie Wiggers, the 8th grader. She steps in with 2 outs here in the third. Lions first pitch to her. Inside for a ball. Wiggers ready to go. Lions ready to go. The 0-1. Swung on, hit over the pitcher's head between the pitcher and second base. A base knock for Wiggers. That single gets the Wolves their first runner of the game. Kara Kinnell stepping in now with 2 outs and a runner on first. Back to the top of the lineup for the Wolves. And here we go. The first pitch to her. Swung on and it bounces. Fielded by the third baseman. The fire to first is way behind the runner and the runner is safe. A really nice bounce there by Kinnell. And a single. Now runners on first and second for the Wolves. Taylor Pinzock will be up next. Taylor stepping in the box, the 2-hitter. The 5th batter here in the 3rd. Lions pitch. Called strike. Taylor Pinzock behind 0-1. Here's the pitch. Swung on, hit high, foul to the left side. Oh-2 now the count. And Lions 1 pitch away from getting out of this jam that she's put herself in here at 2 runners aboard. Her and Bodemer continue to kind of mirror each other's performance so far in the first 3 innings of this game. Taylor Pinzock ready to go. Jess Lyons ready to go. Here's going to be an 0-2 pitch. Fouled off. Getting a piece of that pitch there, just enough to stay alive, was Pinzock. Another 0-2 coming. Lions steps up. And here's the pitch. Swung on, put in play towards the first baseman. They field it and make the tag on the line to get out of the inning. A ground out for Taylor Pinzock. And Jess Lyons and the Maple Grove Panama Dragons escape danger there. We're going to take a quick word from our sponsor and come back right here on the 98.9 Sports Stream.
I love playing sports, especially for my school. And that's because school sports are special. It's where it's safe to fail. It's where we're taught resilience, where our fear becomes confidence. It's where we learn to get back up after every fall. School sports are where 7.8 million students go from I can't to I can.
This message presented by NISFA and the New York State Athletic Administrators Association.
Support for this broadcast on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream is provided by Tina Dills, ERA Team VP Licensed Real Estate Agent, serving the Wolfpack listening area and all of Chautauqua County with real estate services for buyers, sellers, vacation rentals, and all relocation needs. For more information on how to get your move going, Tina can be reached at 716-397-7790.
Where do my friends and other students find their voice? We find our voice through the performing arts, along with millions of other high school students. By expressing yourself in a role on stage, through an instrument, or at the debate podium, the performing arts give us freedom to find ourselves, to find our place. The stage is where I can play, perform, and compete with my friends.
Performing arts at your school is where creativity meets courage. Encourage the students in your life to find their voice through the performing arts.
Bottom of the 3rd here in Maple Grove, 0-0 the score. Rambacher, Savannah Rambacher, freshman catcher, steps in. Bodemer's first pitch to her, a strike. And so far, a pitching duel between Jessica Lyons and Bodemer. The 0-1 from Bodemer. Swung on and missed. And the count goes to 0-2. And that pitch called a ball. And the count now 1-2. Bodemer continuing to work quickly, checking the wristband each time, but moving in a pretty good rhythm. Here's the 1-2. Low for ball 2. And Lyons, Jessica Lyons pitching for Maple Grove, Panama, working equally as quickly. She stands back a little ways further until she's ready to pitch and then steps up, but still the same kind of rhythm and format. Bodemer's pitch, swung on and fouled off to the right side. Waiting for softballs here for the umpire. And finally got one into play, and we're ready to get going again. You can see in the live stream the golf carts driving past in the background. In a 0-0 baseball game, softball game. 2-2 pitch from Bodemer. Swung on and missed. And Rombacher goes down swinging. So we'll go to the top of the Maple Grove Panama lineup. That's Alex Caldwell, the junior outfielder, third baseman. One out here in the bottom of the third. Caldwell steps in. Bodemer's ready to go. Here's her first pitch. Fouled back into the fence. First strike one. Oh, 1 the count. Here's the pitch. High for ball 1. And it's 1-1. Here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled off. And it's 1-2. The 1-2 pitch. Swung on right back at the pitcher. Gets past her. And it's going to get out there. The shortstop knocking it down, but it will get into center field. And a single for Caldwell. That brings up Hallstrom, the shortstop. 1 on and 1 out here in the bottom of the third for Maple Grove, Panama. Hallstrom steps in. Bodemer checks her wristband. First pitch is called strike. And it's 0-1 now to Hallstrom. The single by Caldwell. The first hit of the game for Maple Grove, Panama. Previously had a runner reach on, second hit of the game. Shows bunt, doesn't get it. The runner takes off. The throw is a little bit to the right, and the runner is safe. They did have a single back in the second, did Maple Grove, Panama. After Ryan reached on error, and then Cassie Lyons singled. Now Caldwell singles and steals second. And here's the 1-1. Bunt shown, missed, and strike 2 for Hallstrom. Hallstrom with a runner in scoring position. Waits for Bodemer's 1-2 pitch. Here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled off hard to the right side. Trying to find some softballs for the umpire. And they now have gotten them back into play, so we'll be able to get back to action here. 1-2 is the count to Hallstrom. Runner on second, 1 out here in the bottom of the third. Ellie Bodemer checks her wristband, and here comes the 1-2 pitch from her. Called strike on the outside edge. And Hallstrom goes down looking. Dar up next for Maple Grove, Panama. That's Lydia Dar, senior first baseman. Dar will try to drive in the run on second. Bodemer's first pitch to her. Swung on and missed for strike one. Ellie Bodemer battling back from that single she gave up to Caldwell. Strikes out Hallstrom and now ahead 0-1 to Dar. Bodemer's pitch fouled off to the right side and the count goes to 0-2. So 0-2 here with 2 outs in the third. Both pitchers continuing to get the job done. We'll see if Bodemer can finish this inning off and keep it a 0-0 ball game. The 0-2 now from her. Called strike 3 on the outside edge, and that's 2 Ks after giving up that single to get out of the inning for the Wolves. Masterful pitching so far. We'll head to the fourth after this word from our sponsors here on the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, they offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at flicksheatingplumbingandac.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support of Wolves softball coverage.
Support for coverage on the Channel 98.9 Lictus Oil and Propane Sports Stream is provided by Sherman Livestock at 4150 Sherman Mayville Road. For more information, call 716-499-1362 and on Facebook.
Coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream is provided in part by Whiteland Surveying in Clymer, providing land surveys for Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties in New York and Erie, Warren, and Crawford counties in Pennsylvania. Phone 716-499-8410. Find them online at mwhitepls.com. The Channel 98.9 Sports Stream thanks Whiteland Surveying for their support.
Corry's only locally operated radio station is Channel 98.9. With your Erie weather, your favorite personalities.
Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday.
You see today local news, entertainment, and information around the clock. And Corry's modern rock. Channel 98.9, your one radio station.
0-0 ball game here in Maple Grove as the Dragons, the Maple Grove Panama Dragons, are in a tied-up pitcher's duel with the Clymer-Sherman Wolves. Top of the fourth now. Lyons going to pitch. And that first pitch is going to be outside to Burchanowski. Janelle Burchanowski stepping in now. She's ahead 1-0 in the count to Lyons. Lyons pitch. Burchanowski fouls back to the fence. And the count is 1-1. Lyons ready to go. Burchanowski waits for the pitch. That one's low for ball 2. All right, now we're ready for the 2-1 from Lyons. High pitch, ball 3. And it's 3-1 now to Burchanowski. Jessica Lyons comes with a pitch. Called strike 2 and the count is full. Janelle Burchanowski facing a full count here in the top of the fourth inning. Lyons full count pitch. Low for ball 4, and Burchanowski will take a base on walk. That'll bring up Ellie Bodemer. Bodemer have a runner aboard and no outs here in the fourth. pitcher against pitcher here. Lions ready to deliver, and here's the first pitch to Bodemer, who shows bunt, then pulls it back. The throw to second to make the play is not in time. Base stolen by Burchanowski. Bodemer did pull back the bunt show, but was still called a strike by the umpire. So Burchanowski now moved up into scoring position. And Bodemer behind 0-1. Lions unbothered, and here comes the 0-1. Called, strike two on the outside half. 0-2 now the count to Bodemer. Burchanowski on second. No outs here in the fourth. 0-2 to Ellie Bodemer. Lions pitch. High for ball one. And now 1-2. One-two pitch. Lions delivers, fouled off by Bodemer, and the count will remain. No outs so far in this top half inning. Runner on second. Here's the pitch. Ball. And they'll hold the runner with a nice play there by the catcher. And it's 2-2. Lions pitch. Called, strike three on Bodemer. So Bodemer the first out of the inning. And that'll bring up Kelsey Wagner, the senior second baseman, stepping in with one on and one out. Chance to drive in a run to take the lead here if she can get some contact. First pitch, outside for ball one. So a walk to Burchanowski and then a strikeout to Bodemer so far in this inning. Wagner awaits the 1-0. Lions ready now, and here's the pitch. And the runner going to go to third. The throw off the bag pulls the third baseman away, and that's Burchanowski advancing to third on that play there. The count to Wagner. And now a runner on third for Kelsey. And she'll have to try to get some contact here and get the first run of the ball game. Pitch outside from Lions. And the count is 3-0. Big position here. Here's the pitch. And ball four will walk Wagner. That'll bring up Pratt. Pratt's first at bat, a strikeout back in the second. Alyssa, the sophomore, will step in a potential scoring situation here with runners on the corners and one out here in the fourth. Jess Lyons gets her sign and she's ready to go. Here's the pitch. And the runner's going to take off for second. The throw down is to the left of the plate, and the runner is safe. That is Wagner stealing second. And now runners on second and third for Alyssa Pratt. Pratt ahead 1-0. Here's the pitch. She swings to the third baseman. Fielded cleanly there, thrown over to first in time to make the out. But a run does score. That is Janelle Burchanowski getting home. So a ground out to the third baseman advances both runners and gets the first run of the game in for the Wolves, a 1-0 lead after Burchanowski scores. Kaylee Pinzock up now with 2 outs here in the 4th and a runner on third. That's Wagner. Lions pitch. And that one got away from the catcher for a second, but she was able to reel it in. Here we go. The 1-0. Swung on and missed for a strike. 0-2 is the count now for Kaylee Pinzock. A strikeout to Bodemer, a walk to Burchanowski and Wagner, and a sacrifice ground out by Pratt so far in this inning. Pinzock, 0-2. Gets a piece of that one down the first base line, but it's foul. As Kaylee Pinzock trying to drive in Wagner from third. Jess Lyons trying to get out of this 4th inning without giving up any more damage here to the Wolves. The 0-2 from Lyons. Swung on and fouled off, back to the backstop. So the count remains 0-2. A 1-0 lead for the Wolves here in the 4th. Here's the pitch. Down in the dirt. That'll be ball 1. A 1-2 count for Pinzock. Lions pitch. High, slapped away by the catcher. The runner's going to take off. That's Wagner. She lays down and gets the run for the Wolves. Nice little slide there. And nothing that the Dragons could do to stop that one. Once that got away from the catcher, there was no way to make a play. So a 2-2 count now to Kaylee Pinzock. 2 runs in for the Wolves here in the 4th. And 2 outs. Lions pitch, swung on and missed to end the inning. But not before the Wolves can score 2. And take a nice lead here in this softball game. We'll take another word from our sponsor here in the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, they offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at flicksheatingplumbingandac.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game, so I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in New York at highschoolofficials.com.
Studio B.
And welcome back to Maple Grove. A 2-0 lead for the Wolves as they jump out here in the top of the 4th and get 2 runs. And now they'll have to play defense and try and keep them in the bottom of the 4th inning. First pitch to Jessica Lyons is a ball. So Jessica Lyons, the pitcher for Maple Grove, Panama, who gave up the 2 walks that ended up being 2 runs for the Wolves. Now trying to get some offense going herself. Second pitch from Bodemer, high for ball 2. And Jessica, Panama sophomore, trying to will her team back into this softball game. Bodemer's pitch, swung on by Lyons, back towards the shortstop, fielded cleanly there. The throw to first is in time to retire the runner. So the ground out to short gets this inning going. 1 out now. And Meg Ryan stepping in for the Dragons. Ryan, the tall first baseman for Maple Grove. First pitch low from Bodemer. Ball 1. Ryan reached by error back in the second. She's ahead 1-0 now. Swings on that one, fouls it off. Here's the pitch. Swung on, hit towards short. Short fields it cleanly, and the throw to first is dropped by the first baseman, but they're going to call it an out. So 2 ground outs so far this inning for Maple Grove Panama. And that brings up Meg McGee. Bodemer working efficiently so far, getting these 2 ground outs on just 6 pitches. Here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled off to the right side. Bodemer. 7 pitches in here and 2 outs and an 0-1 count. Here's the pitch. High for ball 1. If the last 2 at-bats track here, this should be a ground out to the shortstop. That's what happened in both the first 2 at-bats of the inning. 1-1 to McGee. Here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled off over the backstop. Well, there goes the ground out trend on 3 pitches. I don't think Bodemer minds. She's just getting ready to throw the 1-2 pitch. Here's her pitch to McGee. Low for ball 2. Two, 2 outs, and a 2-0 deficit here for Maple Grove Panama. Here's the pitch, and a ball. The umpire initially cocked his arm back to call it a strike and then changed his mind. And there's the pitch, and she'll walk the batter. Meg McGee aboard on a walk. And that brings up Cassie Lyons, who singled back in the second. Cassie, the Panama senior, stepping in. And Ellie Bodemer's ready to pitch to her. First pitch is low for ball 1. And the 1-0 to Cassie Lyons. Called strike 1. Right down the middle of the zone there from Bodemer. So McGee on first after the walk, 2 outs. And Cassie Lyons facing a 1-1 count. Bodemer checks her wristband. Now she's ready to go. Here's the pitch. Called strike 2 on the outside half. And a 1-2 count now. One more pitch for Ellie Bodemer to get out of the 4th. Here's the pitch. High for ball 2. Two now. Cassie Lyons settles in. Here's Bodemer's pitch, swung on and missed, and the side is retired. 2-0 Wolves lead the Dragons here in Bemis Point. We'll take you to another word from our sponsor here on the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, They offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at FlixHeatingPlumbingandAC.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flix Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game, so I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days.
Clymer-Sherman Softball coverage is brought to you in part by Caflisch Pallet and Wood Services in Clymer, a leading provider of new, heat-treated, and recycled pallets and wood services since 1993. Find them online at caflischpallet.com. Phone 716-355-4354.
Back to the action here in Beavis Point. First pitch is a ball to White. Top of the fifth here, 2-0 Wolves. Second pitch is a called strike on the outside half. Bailey White now 1-1. Here's the pitch. Inside for ball two. Two-one count. Pitch. Going to be ball three. And 3-1 now. Lions behind to White. Lions pitch. Called strike two. So the count now full for Bailey White. And we await the pitch from Lions. Here's the payoff pitch. Swung on, hit in the air to second base and caught there for the first out of the inning. Addie Wiggers due up next for the Wolves. And Addie stepping in now. Addie facing Lions. First strike. First pitch is a strike. Addie singled back in the third. She gets a piece of one there towards short. Fielded cleanly, thrown to first. And she's retired. So 2 outs now in the fifth. And Kinnell, the top of the lineup, coming up. Kara Kinnell will step in here with a 2-0 lead and 2 outs in the top of the fifth. Cassie Lyons pitch, Jessica Lyons. Hit by Kinnell right back up the middle, gets past Lyons. Fielded by the second baseman and thrown in time to first base to retire Kinnell. And very close call there, but enough to retire the side. 1-2-3 inning. And we'll take another quick word from our sponsors here on the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flix Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, they offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at FlixHeatingPlumbingandAC.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flix Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support.
Clymer-Sherman softball coverage is brought to you in part by Troyer's Greenhouse. Now open for the season, Monday through Saturday. Troyer's Greenhouse is located at 1669 Weeks Road, just 2 miles west of Panama. Go Wolves from Troyer's Greenhouse.
School sports are played by humans, coached by humans, and officiated by humans. So the next time you're sitting in the stands at a school athletic event, please remember this and maintain your humanity, especially when it comes to judging and critiquing athletes, coaches, and officials. Please show your fellow humans some respect. They'll appreciate your empathy.
This message presented by NISFA and the New York State Athletic Administrators Association.
Clymer-Sherman softball coverage is brought to you in part by Triple E Manufacturing and Design. Triple E Manufacturing and Design offers equine products, promotional items, embroidery, and printing services. Located at 117 Osborne Street in Sherman and at tripleemfg.com. Phone 800-295-4282. The Channel 98.9 Sports Stream thanks Triple E Manufacturing and Design for their support.
Bottom of the fifth here in Bemis Point. First pitch of this bottom of the fifth from Ellie Bodemer is ball one to Cornell. So a 2-0 lead for the Wolves through this point of the game. And Bodemer trying to keep that lead going here as she pitches the second pitch of the at-bat. That's a called strike. Cornell facing 1-1 now. Catcher setting up outside. There's the pitch. And it is outside for ball two. Pretty good pitching from both sides today. Jessica Lyons giving up 2 walks that resulted in 2 runs, but otherwise pitching pretty well. Bodemer's pitch swung on, hit back towards the shortstop, fielding off the bounce. The throw to first is high, but in time, and the first runner is retired. Rambacher due up, and she will be subbed for. Adara Egan stepping in. First pitch to Egan's a strike. 0-1 to Egan. Low for ball one. Adara Egan, the junior, taking over for Savannah Rambacher now. The 1-1 from Bodemer. Swung on and missed. And the count is 1-2. One and two now the count. Bodemer ready. Here's the pitch. Low for ball two. One out here in the bottom of the fifth. 2-0 Wolves and a 2-2 count. Here's the pitch. High and outside for ball three. And the count goes full. Here comes the pitch. The full count payoff pitch is outside and gets away from Bodemer. Egan will walk. And that brings up Caldwell. So 1 out and 1 on for the top of the order for the Dragons. They trail 2-0 here in the bottom of the fifth. Bodemer checks her wristband and she's ready. Here's the pitch. Outside for ball one. So 1-0 now the count. Here's Bodemer's pitch. Right back towards the pitcher, gets past her. Fielded by the second baseman, thrown to second. In time for the out, so a fielder's choice there. And Caldwell will reach by fielder's choice. And that'll bring up Hallstrom. Hallstrom, the shortstop. She reached by error back in the first and struck out in the third. First pitch to her. Low for ball one. So 2 down here in the 5th. A runner on first for the Dragons. Bodemer ready now. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on, hit over the first baseman's head. That'll drop in for a hit for Maple Grove. And the runner all the way to third. Cut off by Bodemer as the throwback. And a single there by Hallstrom gets Maple Grove a runner in scoring position. So runners on the corners now. And Lydia Darr at the plate. She flew out to the pitcher in the first inning and struck out in the third. She has an opportunity to put Maple Grove back in this game as they trail 2-0. First pitch from Bodemer. Swung on, hit right back towards the pitcher, gets past her, fielded by the shortstop, throw to first in time to retire the side. And the Wolves escape the trouble there in the 5th. We'll go to the 6th after this word from our sponsor on the 98.9 Sports Stream.
I love playing sports, especially for my school. And that's because school sports are special. It's where it's safe to fail. It's where we're taught resilience, where our fear becomes confidence. It's where we learn to get back up after every fall. School sports are where 7.8 million students go from I can't to I can.
This message presented by NISFA and the New York State Athletic Administrators Association.
Support for this broadcast on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream is provided by Tina Dills, ERA Team VP Licensed Real Estate Agent, serving the Wolfpack listening area and all of Chautauqua County with real estate services for buyers, sellers, vacation rentals, and all relocation needs. For more information on how to get your move going, Tina can be reached at 716-397-7790.
Where do my friends and other students find their voice? We find our voice through the performing arts, along with millions of other high school students. By expressing yourself in a role on stage, through an instrument, or at the debate podium, the performing arts give us freedom to find ourselves, to find our place. The stage is where I can play, perform, and compete with my friends.
Performing arts at your school is where creativity meets courage. Encourage the students in your life to find their voice through the performing arts.
Top 6 here in Maple Grove. And the first pitch of the inning by Jess Lyons is ball 1. Taylor Pinzock at bat for the Wolves. That pitch is ball 2. So 2-0, the Wolves leading here in the 6th. The count 2-0. Lions pitch comes home. Strike 1 called in the upper side of the plate. Upper half. And it's 2-1. Taylor Pinzock looking to get the offense going for the Wolves here with a 2-0 lead. Here's the pitch. Called strike 2. And the count goes to 2-2. All right, ready to go with the 2-2 pitch. Swung on, hit towards right center. It's going to fall in there for a base knock for Pinzock. Nice little single there from Taylor Pinzock. Dropped about 8 feet or so behind the second baseman. Nowhere near either outfielder. A nice clean single there for Pinzock. Up now will be Janelle Berchanowski. Berchanowski reached back in the 4th on a walk and got out in the 1st. Jess Lyons trying to rein this thing back in here. Pitch is outside for ball 1. And they're going to try and hold Pinzock at first, and they do, at least for now. 1-0 the count. Berchanowski waits for the pitch from Lyons. Here it comes. Low, and it gets past the catcher. The runner will get to second easily. So now 2-0 and a runner on second. That's Pinzock. Burchanowski with a runner in scoring position. All right. Lions to pitch the 2-0. Outside, and the count goes to 3-0. Temperature has dropped 10 to 15 degrees in the last inning and a half here in Maple Grove. Jess Lyons with a 3-0 count. Here's the pitch. And she gets a strike on Burchanowski there. And the count now 3-1. Pinzock on second, no outs here in the top of the sixth. A 2-0 lead for the Wolves. Lions pitch. Swung on and fouled off to the left side. Deep foul. And it looks like everybody's back where they started after the deep foul ball. And we'll have a full count here for Burchanowski, with a runner on second, no outs. Lions ready, and here's the payoff pitch. High and outside, will walk the batter. Pinzock advances to third on the wild ball 4. And Ellie Bodemer, an opportunity to provide some offense for herself here as the pitching duel continues. 2-0 Wolves. Runners on the corners, no outs here in the sixth. Bodemer stepping in to face Lions. Shows bunt. Pitch is low, and Burchanowski will move up to second. 1-0 now the count. Jess Lyons pitch. Outside for ball 2. Lyons has runners 2 in scoring position, 1 on second and 1 on third. So she'll try and prevent Bodemer from scoring them here. Here's the pitch. Bodemer gets a piece of that one. High to the right side, and it will drop foul. Both first baseman and right fielder heading for that ball. Neither one can get to it. And Bodemer's swing has no impact other than a strike. 2-1 now to Bodemer. Here's the pitch. High, ball 3. Three-one count. First base is open. Wagner on deck for the Wolves. Lions to pitch to Bodemer. Here's the 3-1. Swung on and missed. And the count goes full. So full count for the second batter in a row for Jessica Lyons. Last time resulted in a walk. We'll see what she can do here with this full count to Ellie Bodemer. Here's the pitch. Bodemer swings on it, pops it up towards second base, and the second baseman makes the running play. That'll hold both runners where they are. No damage done there to the Wolves either, as there's no double play opportunity. So fly out to second base brings up Kelsey Wagner. One out, 2 on, a 2-0 lead in the sixth for the Wolves. Wagner stepping in. Jessica Lyons ready to throw the first pitch of this at bat. There it is. Hit to right field, fielded there by the right fielder easily. 1 out, and the throw in is not going to be in time to stop the runner. As a run does score, that's Taylor Pinzock. And Janelle Burchanowski advances to third. So Wagner, a sacrifice fly, scores a run for the Wolves. They take a 3-0 lead now. And Alyssa Pratt due up with 2 outs here in the 6th. The Wolves doing just enough to advance their score here to 3-0. Maple Grove, Panama trying to get out of this 6th inning. Here's the pitch from Lyons, outside for ball 1. Pratt has a runner on third, that's Burchanowski. Here's the 1-0. Swung on and missed, and it's 1-1. 1-1 count. Here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled off to the left side. And Alyssa Pratt now behind 1-2. Counts 1-2 with 2 outs. 3-0 ball game, runner on third. Lions pitch. Called, strike 3 on the outside half to get the inning over with. Not before giving up a run. That was Pinzock who came home to make it 3-0 Wolves. We'll be back after this word from our sponsor on the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, they offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at flicksheatingplumbingandac.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support of Wolves softball coverage.
Support for coverage on the Channel 98.9 Lictus Oil and Propane Sports Stream is provided by Sherman Livestock at 4150 Sherman Mayville Road. For more information, call 716-499-1362 and on Facebook.
Coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream is provided in part by Whiteland Surveying in Clymer, providing land surveys for Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties in New York and Erie, Warren, and Crawford counties in Pennsylvania.
And we welcome you back in here to Bemis Point Elementary. A 3-0 lead for the Wolves, and Ellie Bodemer looking to protect that lead here in the bottom of the 6th. Our first pitch to Jess Lyons is tipped right back to her, and Lyons is retired very quickly. First pitch there, and Lyons turned on it late and just tipped it right back to the pitcher. So I was about to tell you that Jess Lyons is the pitcher for Maple Grove, Panama. We'll have to try to give herself some offense, but she does not there, getting the first out of the inning. That will bring up Meg Ryan, the first baseman. As one out already here in the bottom of the 6th for Maple Grove, Panama. Bodemer's pitch low for ball 1. 1-0 to Ryan. Bodemer checks her wristband. And here's the pitch. Ball 2. Ryan reached by error back in the 2nd and ground out back in the 4th. She's ahead 2-0 here in the 6th. Bodemer's pitch. Swung on, popped up. Bodemer makes the play. 2 flyouts back to the pitcher so far in this inning, and there's already 2 down for Maple Grove, Panama. Mike McGee up next for the Dragons. And Bodemer working very efficiently again, trying to get through this inning. Ellie checks her wristband. She's ready to go to the 3rd batter, and here's the first pitch. Called strike 1 on the outside half. Here's the pitch. Ball. And the count's 1-1. Bodemer checks her wristband. Here's the pitch. Called strike two. Inside and low, but it caught the corner. And it's 1-2 with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. McGee trying to get some offense going here for the Dragons. Here's the pitch. High for ball 2. Maple Grove, Panama running out of opportunity here. The 2-2 pitch from Bodemer. Swung on right back to the pitcher. She fields it cleanly over to first to retire the side. 1-2-3 inning for Maple Grove, Panama, and we'll take a quick word from our sponsor here on the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, they offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at flicksheatingplumbingandac.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game, so I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in New York at highschoolofficials.com.
Studio B, indie alternative music, SoCal style with me, Dave W. Phillips. New music and artists from around the world. Sundays at 7 p.m., right after the old folks have gone to bed. Right here on Channel 98.9.
It's party time. Woohoo!
Keep it a secret.
Clymer-Sherman softball coverage is brought to you in part by Caflisch, Pallet, and Wood Services in Clymer, a leading provider of new, heat-treated, and recycled pallets and wood services since 1993. Find them online at caflischpallet.com. Phone 716-355-4354.
And we welcome you back into Bemis Point Elementary, a 3-0 lead for the Wolves over the Dragons. And a pitching change for Maple Grove, Panama, as Meg Ryan takes over on the pitching duties here in the top of the 7th inning. She'll face the 7-8-9 for the Wolves, Kaylee Pinzock, Bailey White, and Addie Wiggers. So Ryan ready to take on the Wolves' lower portion of their lineup. Kaylee Pinzock steps in, and there's the first pitch. High for ball 1. Ryan ready to go with a 1-0. Called strike 1 on the outside half, and the count is 1-1. Ryan ready now. Here's the pitch. Bunt laid down, back down the third base line. Fielded, and it's foul. It rolled just foul before it was fielded. So the count is 1-2. Ryan to pitch to Pinzock now, the 1-2 here in the 7th. Here's the pitch. Outside, swung on and missed. And Pinzock goes down swinging. Bailey White now with 1 out. A 3-0 lead for the Wolves. They're trying to extend. And Meg Ryan trying to shut them down. First pitch. Called strike 1. And White quickly behind 0-1 here. Ryan's pitch on the way. Swung on and missed. And White behind 0-2. The Wolves picking away at this thing. 2 walks back in the 4th, both turned into runs. And then a single from Pinzock in the 6th turned into a run. There's a swing and a miss and a strikeout for White. 2 Ks for Ryan, and that brings up Addie Wiggers. So they go to Ryan here in the 7th. She gets 2 quick strikeouts. She'll try to retire the side on 3 batters if possible. Addie Wiggers, who singled back in the 3rd and ground out back in the 5th, will try to have something to say about that. First pitch to her, a ball. Ryan ready to throw the 1-0 to Wiggers. Here's the pitch. Wiggers turns on it, sends it back to the shortstop, field cleanly, and over to first in time to retire the side. The ground out makes the Wolves go 1-2-3 in the 7th, and we'll go to the bottom half of the 7th. Ready for this word from our sponsors in the 98.9 Sports Stream.
Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning are the premier sponsors of Clymer-Sherman softball coverage on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Located at 147 East Main Street in Corry, they offer residential and light commercial new services, as well as electrical repairs, well pumps, and water conditioning systems. Phone 814-665-6034. Online at flicksheatingplumbingandac.com. We thank Steve Daniels Electric and Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning for their support.
Clymer-Sherman softball coverage is brought to you in part by Troyer's Greenhouse. Now open for the season, Monday through Saturday. Troyer's Greenhouse is located at 1669 Weeks Road, just 2 miles west of Panama. Go Wolves from Troyer's Greenhouse.
School sports are played by humans, coached by humans, and officiated by humans. So the next time you're sitting in the stands at a school athletic event, please remember this and maintain your humanity, especially...
And we welcome you back into Bemis Point Elementary. Bottom of the 7th inning, 3-0. Clymer-Sherman leading Maple Grove, Panama. Panama, Maple Grove have the last at bat here. 3 outs away for Ellie Bodemer from a victory. First pitch, swung on and driven to right field. Right fielder calls it and makes the catch. That's 1 out. Cassie Lyons' deep shot, not going to be enough to get things started here for Maple Grove, Panama. So 1 away, and Cornell now the batter. This was the 7, 8, 9 batters for Maple Grove, Panama. Cassie Lyons, the Panama senior, was up first. She flies out, and now Cornell at the plate. Strike 1 to her. Cornell, the Maple Grove sophomore. Quickly behind 0-1, and Bodemer working fast here to try to put this thing away. Checks her wristband. Here's the 0-1. Strike 2, outside half. Oh, 2 now to Cornell. Bodemer checks her wristband. Here comes the pitch. Swung on and fouled off to the right side. So the count remains 0-2. 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. 3-0 Wolves. Swung on, and that one's going to be in there for a base knock to left field. A nice little single right between the third baseman and shortstop for Cornell. Due up now, Raumbacher. Here's the pitch. Raumbacher gets a piece back towards the first baseman. That's fielded cleanly, and a first for the second out. And Caldwell now will face a tough situation down 3-0 with 2 outs. Caldwell has to produce something here for the Dragons or the game will end. Runner on second. Here's the pitch. Called, strike 1. Alex Caldwell, understanding the gravity of the situation, knowing she has to make something happen offensively. Ellie Bodemer, on the other hand, trying to put this thing away. And there's the pitch. Called, strike 2. So Bodemer quickly getting ahead here 0-2, and she'll look to put this thing away. 1 strike away for Ellie Bodemer. Here's the pitch. Outside, gets away from the catcher, and the runner will move up to third. And it's 1-2. Runner on third now for Caldwell. 2 outs. See if she can get something going from Maple Grove, Panama, or if this game will end. Here's Bodemer's pitch. High for ball 2. 2-2 now to Caldwell. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. And the side is retired. The game is over. So with that, we have concluded the action here in Bemis Point. 3-0 final as the Wolves get the job done today. Ellie Bodemer, strong pitching performance. And that is all she wrote here today on the softball field. Thank you for joining us on the 98.9 Sports Stream. I'm Josh Hosier, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast of Clymer-Sherman Softball on the Channel 98.9 Sports Stream. Presented by Troyer's Greenhouse in Panama, by Whiteland Surveying, Tina Dills, ERA Team VP Licensed Real Estate Agent, Caflisch Pallet and Wood Supply, Triple E Manufacturing, Flicks Heating and Plumbing and Air Conditioning, by Sherman Livestock, and Steve Daniels Electric in Corry. Tune in next time for all the action of Clymer-Sherman Softball play-by-play.